International. It's now time for a second and final topic of discussion in today's episode. And as we noted earlier in our introduction, we're going to be talking about the Cairo Water Week 2021, which is going to be hosted in Egypt during the period from the 24th of October till the 28th of October. And to shed more light on the issue, we're most delighted to be joined over the phone by Mrs. Amira Sayed, Egypt's representative at the World Youth Parliament for Water and founder of the Egyptian Water Parliament. A very good morning, Ms. Amira, and thank you so much for joining us on The Breakfast Show.
Good morning.
Ms. Amira, first we need to learn more about the Cairo Water Week, its objective, the history behind it, and also the goals and achievements.
Yeah. So Cairo Water Week is the largest water event here in Egypt. It's being held on an annual basis under the auspices of the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. The first edition took place in 2018, so this year is the fourth edition of Cairo Water Week. During this week, this event brings together senior officials and decision makers, water experts from all over the world. We have seen in the previous editions that every year there is a main theme that the event is focusing on. For example, in the first year, the main theme was water conservation for sustainable development. So we know that water security and addressing climate change, which is piling pressure on water security, is one of the major or the main sustainable development goals set by the United Nations, and also it goes in tandem with Egypt's sustainable development strategy, Egypt Vision 2030. We have seen also that another theme of the second edition of Cairo Water Week was water scarcity, opportunities and challenges. This year, the main theme is water, population, and global challenges, opportunities and challenges. So we know that now overpopulation is piling pressure on the available water resources. It's expected that world population is to exceed like 9 billion by 2015, and only the available water resources or fresh water constitutes like 2.5% of the available water resources on Earth, and only 1% of these fresh water is accessible, and the rest is trapped in glaciers. So now we are facing real water challenges, and according to the World Economic Forum, water scarcity is now the biggest risk facing the whole world. So it's very important to hold such conferences to, like we have seen, to lay foundation for constructive dialogue to reach more practical solutions to address these numerous water challenges.
Yes, I believe that the event is kicking off tomorrow. Can you just give us a brief about the agenda, the topics that is going to be discussed, also guest speakers, if you can tell us more?
Yeah. So tomorrow, the fourth edition of Cairo Water Week is going to be launched, and as I told you, under the auspices of the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. This year, the event is held in cooperation and in partnership with many international partners like the European Union, the World Water Council, FAO, ESCWA, and other senior officials. One of the main sessions that will be held this year is a high-level session dealing with the midterm comprehensive review of water decade set by the United Nations 2023. This session is going to be held with the participation of the Egyptian Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, and also the irrigation ministers of many countries, and also senior decision makers. So this is one of the most important sessions that will be held within the framework of the fourth edition of Cairo Water Week. There will be another sessions dealing with the water, integrated water management as a tool to address water scarcity. There will be another session tackling the international, regional, and sectoral cooperation to ensure water security. There will be sessions dealing with modern irrigation systems and best practices in rural villages. Also, there will be definitely some sessions that will be dealing with dam safety and information. So really, it's very rich in content this year. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Also, Mrs. Amira, how do you see the role of the CWW in setting the mechanisms of managing water resources to face the ever-growing population and also the increasing demand for water, not only in Egypt but worldwide?
Yeah, definitely. As I told you now, water scarcity is considered one of the main risks facing the whole world now. So it's very important to deal with this file from a broader and holistic perspective. We are not talking about water challenges here in Egypt or in Africa. We are talking about water challenges worldwide. So such events, it creates a link or boost the dialogue between decision makers and experts. It also creates a link between decision makers and specialists in order to reach like more practical solutions. It's also very important to benefit from the experience of other countries in modern irrigation system. For example, Egypt also has its own strategy. For example, now Egypt has made strides in the integrated water management strategy. It has its own national strategy to rationalize the water consumption. Also, if we are talking about diversifying and making and maximizing the benefit of the available water resources, for example, recently the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi inaugurated one of the largest wastewater treatment plants, which is Batn al-Bakar, with the capacity of 5.6 million cubic meters per day that is going to be used in land reclamation. So it's very important to highlight the national strategy and also highlight the international strategies in dealing with water challenges. One of the main sessions also will be dealing with, we can say, the climate change and its impact on water resources. And this session is going to be organized by the Environment Ministry here in Egypt, because now we know that climate change has a direct impact on the available water resources. So it's very important to discuss how can we mitigate such severe impacts of global challenges. And over the past years, if we evaluate the outcomes or the recommendations of Kyrie Water Week, we have seen that many steps have been taken on real ground. Now there are more awareness campaigns, more projects in cooperation with international partners in the field of water security, and every year we build on the recommendations of the previous year. As I told you, every year there is a main theme. So this year the main theme is dealing with the overpopulation and its impact on the available water resources, how to ensure water security, because ensuring water security means ensuring food security and also ensuring sustainable development. Now water security is not just an environmental or water challenge, it's a developmental challenge, definitely.
Yes, indeed. Also, Mrs. Amira, I believe you are the founder of the Egyptian Water Parliament. If you can tell us more about the role of this parliament in the upcoming Cairo Water Week 2021.
Okay. In general, let me shed light on the World Youth Parliament for Water. It is a youth entity that brings youth leaders, influential youth leaders from across the world, youth leaders who are passionate to water issues. It's very important to combine collective efforts towards this issue. As I told you, it's very important to share knowledge and experience. Now we are talking, if we are talking about a certain problem from a broader perspective, it will help us to reach more practical solutions. I believe that such face-to-face meetings and spontaneous meetings, it helps to lay foundation for like constructive dialogue in order to draw a vision towards our common future. Now we know that now like water issues is on top of the agenda of all governments, and now we can say that it's a major concern for our governments worldwide. So youth diplomacy plays a major role in promoting public awareness of water scarcity and also how to rationalize the consumption of water and also how to improve the quality of water. So youth diplomacy plays a major role in creating such link between decision makers and younger generation. And World Youth Parliament for Water has participated in many international events like the World Water Forum, which is the biggest water event in the world. In this event, Cairo Water Week, there will be a session tackling road to the 9th edition of World Water Forum, due to be held in Senegal, in Dakar. So youth representation is very important in such international events, as I told you. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And also the COP 26th summit is about to take place also, and Egypt is participating in this global summit. How do you think the Cairo Water Week 2021 will help support Egypt's stance towards climate and all the climate challenges that the world is facing?
Yeah. As you mentioned, that climate change, it has a direct impact on water security, and now the impacts of climate change is more severe like never before. We have seen like many wildfires took place in several parts of the world, and the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi stressed several times in many international events. For example, this month, President Sisi said in the UN General Assembly of Heads of State and Governments on climate change that now the humanity or the world now is experiencing a critical time that needs collective efforts in order to face such impacts of climate change. Now, developed countries, it has more responsibility to support developing countries to overcome these impacts. We know that, for example, Africa is the most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, but unfortunately, it is the least equipped to cope up with such severe impacts. So it's very important to draw international attention to this file, which is climate change, which has a direct impact on water security and consequently the food security. Cairo Water Week, it will witness the participation of senior officials and irrigation ministers and international partners like officials from FAO, the United Nations, ISQA. So this topic will be given a priority. As I told you, there will be a session on climate change, which is organized by the Egyptian Environment Ministry, and it will highlight the national strategy of Egypt to deal with climate change and also how to benefit from the experience of other countries. We know regarding COP26 due to be held in Glasgow, we know the financial support for climate action will be on the top of the agenda. Earlier, the developed countries, they pledged to jointly mobilize $100 billion to support developing countries. But I think that developed countries will discuss this file to come up with a conclusion. Egypt will be actively participating in this file because Egypt has its own ambitious plan in climate change. It has already made strides in this file. Egypt's also done up host 27th COP27. So now Egypt is giving a priority to this file. So definitely when we are talking about Cairo Water Week, definitely climate change will be on the top of the agenda of the conference.
Indeed, Mrs. Amira Said, Egypt's representative at the World Youth Parliament for Water and founder of the Egyptian Water Parliament. Thank you so much for your insight and thank you so much for your contribution on the Breakfast Show. Dear viewers, by this, we come to the end of today's episode of the Breakfast Show. You are in the company of myself, Karim Gamaluddin, and my colleague, Aman Mukhtar. Until we meet again, this is goodbye.